Hi and welcome back to Love English. I'm Leila and today I have got a grammar lesson for you. Now, if you want to be able to hold a conversation in English, if you want to sound natural, native and be more fluent and encourage people to have a conversation with you, then this grammar lesson is really going to help you. Today I'm going to be looking at question tags. Now these are a really simple but effective way to maintain a conversation in English, encouraging them to talk and also showing your interest in what they have to say. Question tags are generally used in spoken English. Of course, text messaging is quite an informal form of communication, so you would often find question tags being used there, but generally speaking, they are used in informal spoken English. Now, thankfully, this is not a difficult grammar point. The rules are actually quite simple. So pay attention, and at the end of the lesson, I'm going to give you a little quiz to show you how easy it is to learn this grammar. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to use question tags effectively in conversation. And why don't you test them out in the comments box below? Use some question tags and I can answer your questions. So, you want to get on with the lesson, don't you? Right, to understand question tags, let's look at a normal question, a normal statement, and then add that question tag at the end. Do you like English grammar? Do you like English grammar? Question, statement. You like English grammar. You like English grammar. And now let's take that statement and turn it into a question. You like English grammar, don't you? You like English grammar, don't you? Here you can see all we've done is keep the sentence in the affirmative and we've added a negative question tag using the auxiliary verb of that tense. So with the present simple, the auxiliary verb would be do or does, depending on whether it's third person or I, you, we, they.
You like English grammar, don't you? But she likes English grammar, doesn't she? She likes English grammar, doesn't she? Pay attention there. Of course, you cannot see the auxiliary verb do or does in the affirmative statement because we don't usually use it in the affirmative. However, you will see that it appears in the question tag. You like English grammar, don't you? She likes English grammar, doesn't she?
Now, if that statement were to become negative, you don't like English grammar, do you? You don't like English grammar, do you? In this case, you can see that the question tag has become positive. Rule number 1 with question tags. If the statement is positive, the question tag is negative. If the statement is negative, the question tag is positive. Now, rule number 2, you need to use the auxiliary verb from that tense. In many cases, it will be obvious what the auxiliary verb is. However, with present simple, the auxiliary verb is not always apparent. So let's have a look at the auxiliary verb being used in question tags. So, where the main verb is the verb to be, obviously you would take that verb and it would go into the question tag. She's a teacher, isn't she? She's a teacher, isn't she? You're tired, aren't you? You're tired, aren't you? Pay attention as well to the punctuation. Now, when writing or sending a text with a question tag, you would need to use a comma at the end of the statement. So you would have statement, comma, question tag. Let's have a look at a few more examples.
You like chocolate. You like chocolate. What's the auxiliary verb? You can't see one because it's present simple. So therefore, you like chocolate, don't you? You like chocolate, don't you? Likewise, I like chocolate. I like chocolate. Don't I? I like chocolate. Don't I? With the example of the present perfect, you have done your homework. You have done your homework. Here you can clearly see the auxiliary verb is have. So this makes it a little bit easier to form the question tag. You have done your homework, haven't you? You have done your homework, haven't you?
It's cold today, isn't it? You're Polish, aren't you? They live in Istanbul, don't they? The programme finishes at 10, doesn't it? Your sister lived in England, didn't she? We've met before, haven't we? You'll be okay, won't you? You'd go to London with me, wouldn't you? All of those are using a negative question tag because the statement is positive. And if you pay attention, you can see they are either using the auxiliary verb or they are using the modal verb from the sentence. You'll be okay, won't you? You'd go to London with me, wouldn't you?
You can swim. You can swim, can't you? You won't tell. You won't tell. Will you? Here you can clearly see two modal verbs being used in each sentence, can and will not, won't. So can becomes can't, turning from positive in the statement to negative in the question tag. And likewise, won't becomes will in the question tag because it is negative in the statement but positive in the question tag. So they're not too difficult, modal auxiliary verbs.
Now again, remembering that main rule when forming question tags, if the sentence is positive, the question tag is negative, but if the sentence is negative, the question tag is positive. Let's have a look at a few more examples. She isn't in class today, is she? You aren't hungry, are you? They don't drink, do they? She doesn't like tea, does she? Sabrah hasn't been to Rome before, has she? You won't tell anyone, will you? He wouldn't cheat on the test, would he? So there you can see that in negative statements, the auxiliary verb becomes positive. Really, really important to remember, we don't have two negatives in a sentence in English, ever. Be careful with question tags with I am. We don't say, I am hungry. Am I? No. I am hungry, aren't I? So we need to use the verb are when we are referring to ourselves in the first person, I am. I am hungry, aren't I? I am pretty, aren't I? Now, I think the most difficult thing to try and remember with question tags is not actually the grammar, but it is about intonation. Question tags are generally used when we know the answer or think we know the answer, but are just checking for clarification. So you've got two choices with intonation, and it does impact the meaning of the question and whether you actually want a response. Now, question tags can either be real questions, meaning you don't know the answer, or we probably already know the answer, but are encouraging the flow of conversation. If it is a real question and you genuinely want a response, your intonation would rise, it would go up. So, for example, you haven't been to Rome, have you? You aren't hungry, are you? You wouldn't like a cup of tea, would you? If we kind of already know the answer and we're not necessarily looking for a response, then our intonation would fall. So, for example, you're not tired, are you? You didn't cheat, did you? You haven't had a beer, have you? You didn't eat my chocolate, did you? So there you can see that it's more for conversation and really to show interest and engage the other person. You're not necessarily looking for an answer when your intonation falls. You probably already know the answer. Let's recap those rules again, and I'm going to give you a quick test. Number 1, if the statement is positive, use a negative question tag. If the statement is negative, use a positive question tag. Use the auxiliary verb from the statement. If you can't see the auxiliary verb, it's likely to be do or does, depending on the pronoun. And of course, the intonation. If you really want an answer, it's a real question, your intonation will rise. But if you think you already know the answer and actually it's a rhetorical question, you're not really looking for a response, then your intonation will fall. Are you ready for the quiz? You can hear me? What's the question tag? You can hear me? Can't you? You like him? You like him? What's the question tag? You like him, don't you? You love English grammar. You love English grammar. You love English grammar, don't you? She works hard. She works hard. This is a little bit more difficult. She works hard, doesn't she? She works hard, doesn't she? You'll marry me. You'll marry me. Won't you? You're not tired. You're not tired. You're not tired, are you? You wouldn't tell. You wouldn't tell. Would you? You didn't eat my chocolates. You didn't eat my chocolates. Did you? You didn't eat my chocolates. Did you? You couldn't help me. You couldn't help me. You couldn't help me. Could you? You haven't been here before. You haven't been here before. What's the question tag? You haven't been here before. Have you? She isn't a teacher. She isn't a teacher. She isn't a teacher, is she? So there we have it, a very simple and effective way of engaging more in conversation and really sounding a lot more fluent and native. Why don't you try using those question tags next time you are having a conversation in English? And of course, why not comment below? Why don't you ask me some questions using the question tag structure and I will respond with an answer and another question for you. My final question tag for you guys. You have subscribed to Love English, haven't you? Thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you very soon with lots more lessons on grammar, pronunciation, phrasal verbs, idioms, whatever you need, we can teach it. Thank you for watching. You've enjoyed the lesson, haven't you?